After seeing the reactions with this movie, I might be the contrarian here. K-Dog's movie review. Weapons is directed by Zach Krieger and stars Julia Garner and Josh Brolin. When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. Okay, new horror movie by the same filmmaker who made Barbarian, which was kind of an unexpected hit. A lot of people ended up loving it. They loved the twists and turns that movie made, jumbling of the genres between horror and comedy and thriller. I myself also surprisingly enjoyed that movie, and so I was looking forward to this one. This one, based on just the trailers, looked like a dark film exploring the disappearance of these children. A great setup for a horror movie, a very unique and weird premise that could have a lot of different avenues in which you could explore. The townspeople and how this tragedy affects them, the mysteries of what really went down, the horrors behind what's happening to the children wherever they are or what they're up to. This movie could have gone in a lot of different directions, and so I really love the premise. However, I'm seeing a lot of hype for this movie. A lot of people are saying it's the best horror film of 2025 and other hyperboles of that nature. And I gotta say, while I did have a good time with this movie, I don't think it's a great horror film. Now, by no means is it a bad film at all. It's actually pretty fun and a solid movie. It's a good time. But a horror movie? I think that might be the wrong genre for this. No spoilers for now. I might have a spoiler section at the end, but while there are certainly horror elements in this movie is also very comedic, and so I would kind of label it as a thriller, dark comedy, not really horror. Having said that, Krieger is a great filmmaker and really knows how to set up tension in a scene. There were many scenes during this film where I was on the edge of my seat waiting for what's going to happen. But unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, a lot of those intense sequences are undercut with humor. So this whole thing sort of left me a little baffled, which is interesting because that's kind of similar to what Barbarian did, similar to the movie Together, which I just reviewed. By the way, go check out that review. Also, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. Similar to Together, we have a well-crafted film with some great ideas that end up getting blended genre-wise into this mix of horror, thriller, comedy, all of which are done really well. This is a very funny movie. The scares are set up really well. It's very weird and intriguing, and you're wondering where the story is going to go as it progresses. And again, no spoilers, but once we figure out what's happening or what the driving force is behind the story and the disappearance of these children, I kind of got a little bored. All the tension was lost for me. I still found it very funny. I was laughing along with everyone else in my theater. It just sort of lost me a little bit. So to back things up a bit, some things I really did like. The performances in this film are great. Julia Garner and Josh Brolin are essentially the protagonists of this movie, and they do a wonderful job. Both of their characters are set up really well. They carry those shifts in genre and tone really well when things are going from horrific to comedic. The actors do a phenomenal job of switching that up and doing what's needed for the scene. I ultimately cared about these characters and their plight. Now, one thing that I didn't know about this movie going into it, which it's not really a spoiler, is that this movie is sort of episodic. We're seeing the same events play out from different characters' perspectives. I always think if you can do it in an interesting way with new information from each perspective, it's a fun way to tell a story. And it can be really engaging. With each step, the audience kind of knows what's going to happen, but we don't know why it happens. So it was neat to see the different perspectives as the movie went on. Having said that, I think the runtime for this movie is a little long. There were certain perspectives that I thought were a little drawn out, and some that I thought we didn't really need to see. We can assume what happened during those sequences with things the movie already set up. Additionally, there's a solid, 30 to 45 minutes of this movie where I was not scared at all, and there was no tension in my mind. It was more just comedic and moving the story along. Now, that's not necessarily bad. Again, it was done well in the context of the movie, but it's just that tonal and genre shift that you need to be prepared for. Again, it's done well, but it's not what I would consider horror, more of a thriller comedy. And it's unfortunately something that also led me to feeling the runtime. I think this movie sits at about 2 hours and 8 minutes. I think this movie could have been trimmed down to like an hour and 45 minutes. There are also, what I found to be after watching the whole movie, some unnecessary jump scares. They weren't offensive like in some movies, like it wasn't, a raccoon just jumping out of nowhere and scaring someone. After having watched the movie, there were a few jump scares that I thought didn't connect to the story at all whatsoever. They felt unnecessarily inserted, almost like the filmmakers wanted to wake the audience up. They wanted to make sure that we weren't getting bored in the first and second acts of this film, which I definitely wasn't. I was very intrigued with where the story was going. As I was alluding to earlier, I was a little disappointed also with the story and where we go with certain things. They have a lot of great setup here, a lot of great character drama set up about survivor's guilt and grief and loss and how tragedies can change and affect people's lives. I think we could have explored that way more and the horrors of that. But instead, we sort of drop all that and go into this comedic, fun horror. It's weird because I sound like I'm hating on this film, and I don't. I was just kind of disappointed. When you think of the greatest horror films of all time, or even just great horror films in general, I would not include this in that realm. I will say Zach Krieger knows how to set up scares really well. There was a lot of tension building up inside of me during certain scenes. Doors opening in weird way, little cracks through windows people have to look in, people walking in bizarre ways, and really horrific things happening with no score and just watching it play out. But it all just ends up being undercut with comedy. And so all of that tension and horror just leaves your body immediately. And I was left afterwards feeling like I had a good time, but kind of unsatisfied, if that makes sense. Oh boy, this review is going to be all over the place. What else can I add? The music was good. Every different section of the movie or character that we follow had their own little score. So overall, I would recommend this movie. It's a fun time. I don't think it should be labeled horror. I understand why it is, because from the studio perspective, what else are you going to label this thing? So just go in with those expectations. If you like Barbarian, you'll probably like this one too. I certainly had a good time. Everyone in the theater was laughing a lot. Oh boy, this review is going to come off as so negative. What did you think of Weapons? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you kind of disappointed? Do you wish they leaned more into the horror or more into the comedy? Let me know. Until next time.